Has this week felt super long because we're getting closer to fall break, or is everyone just impatiently waiting for a new episode of SportsLine? Hello, I'm Riley Kavchuk.
I hope you're not tired of us yet because we're not even halfway through the season. And I hope you're still excited about sports because it's been another action-packed week with the Explorers. You're watching LaSalle's TV's home for the Explorers Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. We have recaps and upcoming games for all fall sports coming your way.
And later, Riley got the chance to sit down with members of the water polo team.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Are we back on what? Number 1, the LaSalle Field Hockey Program has announced that the location for the remaining home games for the 2024 schedule has been changed. Friday, October 18th against Mercerhurst will be played at the Proving Grounds, as well as Sunday, October 20th against Davidson. The location of the final 2 home games against VCU and Ryder will be announced at a later time.
Number 2, Swim and Dive starts their season this weekend with 2 home meets. Friday, they'll compete against the Townsend Tigers on Saturday. They will face the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays at the Kirk Pool.
Number 3, this week's NovaCast Student Athlete of the Week is Suni Dialmo. Dialmo has been a significant attribution to the women's soccer team this season, having a total of 4 goals and 9 points.
That's it for the top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recap. On Friday, women's field hockey took on the Richmond Spiders. Richmond made their presence known early as they connected on the game's opening goal off a penalty corner attempt. The Spiders continued to fight with 5 penalty attempts in the first quarter. Early in the second, Richmond put in yet another goal. This led to a 2-0 lead for the Spiders at the end of the half. The Explorers were finally able to get their offense going in the third quarter. Sophia Pla and Za Rodrigo each had shots to try and put the LaSalle on the board. The Explorers had a total of 6 penalty corner attempts in the third, but none of them converted. Richmond was able to add another goal in the third and yet again in the fourth. LaSalle fought hard until the end, but were not able to come back in the game. The game ended in a 4-0 loss for the Explorers. On Sunday, women's field hockey was back at it again, traveling to Farmville, Virginia, to face off against Longwood. Sophia Waslin started off the game with a shot that was unfortunately blocked by the Lancers. Defense was strong on both sides for the remainder of the first quarter with no more attempts from either team. Rumbi Zumudo fired off a shot in the first 5 minutes of the second. Longwood earned a penalty corner shot shortly after, which was turned away by LaSalle. Defense Sophia Pla got her first shot on the net in the 24th minute. Shortly after, Pla was able to get one in the assistance from Grace Ferrello and Lauren McCain with 7 seconds remaining in the half. The Lancers tried to answer back, but Abby Boggs made the save at the start of the second. Both teams went back and forth attempting shots. Longwood was able to get one of those attempts in the net, tying it up with 7 minutes left in the third. Just minutes later, Sad Rodrigo scored off a pass from Pla. This put the Explorers back in the lead to start the fourth quarter. LaSalle dominated in the fourth, only allowing shots from the Lancers in the final 3 minutes of the game. Longwood found an opening and tied up the game yet again with only 2 minutes remaining. The teams remained tied 2-2, leading the game into overtime. Only 36 seconds into overtime play, Pla found Melina Baldudi off a penalty corner for the game-winning goal. The final score of the match was a 3-2 win for LaSalle.
Last Thursday, the women's soccer team traveled to Fairfax, Virginia to take on George Mason. The Explorers came out firing as Alexis Garcia and Suni Dialmo launched shots within the first 4 minutes. After a brief timeout, the action picked up again in the 13th minute when Michaela Algarado made a crucial save. However, Mason struck first, scoring in the 17th minute. LaSalle responded quickly, firing off 3 straight shots, which ended with a penalty kick from Ricochet Walker. That just missed left of the goal. The match turned physical as both sides received yellow cards in the 32nd minute. Walker nearly tied just before the half-time, but a shot was denied as the whistle blew. The second half began with another yellow card on the Explorers, but LaSalle answered with an offensive onslaught. In a span of just 4 minutes, they fired off 4 shots. Finally, in the 52nd minute, Elizabeth Estrada delivered a beautiful pass to Haley Gaucher, who connected with Garcia. Garcia then slotted the ball past the keeper to level the match at 1-1. Mason quickly regaining control, finding a loose ball to score in the 61st minute and retake the lead. But just 8 minutes later, Gaucher set up Dialmo, who made it 2-2. LaSalle continued their attack with freshman Kate Loncar unleashing 2 shots on target. The pressure peaked when Estrada earned a penalty kick, but the Mason keeper came up with a save. The Explorers kept firing, ended with Garcia's last-minute shot in the 19th minute, which was denied, as the keeper made her 10th save of the night. The game ended in a 2-2 tie. On Sunday, women's soccer extended their winning streak against George Washington. Haley Gaucher and Suni Dialmo came out firing for LaSalle in the opening minutes, with the Explorers immediately going on the attack. In the 16th minute, Dialmo broke through with a goal of a pass from Elizabeth Estrada to put LaSalle on top 1-0. Just 3 minutes later, Gaucher doubled the lead, slamming another goal into the back of the net to make it 2-0. LaSalle kept the pressure on, launching 4 more shots, with 3 being blocked, but they were relentless. Explorers keeper Michaela Algarado made her presence felt, pulling off 2 crucial saves in quick succession to keep the clean sheets. The offensive continued with Alexis Garcia netting LaSalle's 3rd goal in the 40th minute, courtesy of a perfect pass from Olivia Vicella. The Explorers took a commanding 3-0 lead into the half-time. LaSalle picked up where they left off in the second half, but despite firing 3 straight shots at the goal, George Washington defenders held strong after some missed chances by the Explorers. George Washington found the back of the net for their first goal in the 56th minute. The game slowed in the final stretch, with neither team generating much offense. Algarado came up with one last save to close out the match, securing a 3-1 victory for LaSalle.
This past Saturday, the men's soccer team hosted number 20 nationally ranked George Mason at home in a hard-fought battle. No significant plays were made by the Explorers until the 20th minute, where Colin Beasley nearly opened the scoring with a free kick that hit off the crossbar. The ball bounced down, but the ref ruled it hadn't crossed the line. Less than a minute later, Toby Aswabo's header off a free kick went just wide left. The Explorers' defense was strong in the first half, preventing George Mason from making a single shot on goal. But just 4 minutes into the second half, George Mason converted a penalty kick to take a 1-0 lead. Neven Barr nearly pulled LaSalle to the tie in the 58th minute with a header inside the box that was saved by Mason's keeper. Drew Blackwell came even closer 11 minutes later when his free kick hit the underside of the crossbar but bounced away. Kyrese Lynch-Bailey followed up with a shot on goal, but it was also saved. The Explorers finally found their equalizer in the 72nd minute. A long throw-in from Bearer found Leon Steffen, who headed the ball over the crowd into the net, his first goal in a LaSalle uniform. Osaba kept the pressure on with a shot on target in the 81st minute, but it was saved. 2 minutes later, George Mason scored the winner off a low cross that resulted in a tap-in finish. Toby had one last chance in the 84th minute, but his shot from a tight angle deflected off the top of the crossbar and out of the play. LaSalle earned a final opportunity from a corner kick in the dying seconds, but they couldn't put the ball on frame, losing the game 2-1. It was then time to take on crosstown rival St. Joe's after junior Michael China attempted a shot on goal. Andrew Rosenbaum scored 5 minutes later off a corner kick by Drew Blackwell, giving LaSalle a 1-0 lead. LaSalle would keep firing shots through the half, but none would make it to the back of the net to start the second half. Toby Asaba fired a shot just wide of the goal, but the Explorers did not give up. In the 58th minute, a cross by Yuval Nimrodi connected with China's head, sending it to Nevin Bayer, where LaSalle would get their second goal of the game. Both teams continued to fire shots, but all were blocked and wide of the goal. It wasn't until the 75th minute that a pass from Adani Gashbaria connected easily with Colin Beasley, who easily taps it in, exploring the Explorers to take a win over the Hawks 3-0.
The LaSalle men's and women's cross-country team competed in the 50th annual Pole Short Run, presented by ASICS on Saturday morning at Lehigh University. Good led the Explorers with an impressive 22nd place finish, clocking at 20 minutes and 37 seconds in the 6K event. Halid Usher came next, securing 64th place with a time of 21 minutes and 5 seconds, while Neve Moulay finished 176 at 21 minutes and 57 seconds. Amelia Green ran a 22 minutes and 7 seconds, finishing 200th, and Stella Hammond followed with a 22 minutes and 36 seconds. Good for 254th place. Amelia Arts rounded out the women's team in the gold race, placing 269th with a time of 22 minutes and 43 seconds. On the men's side, LaSalle placed with an 14th overall in the gold race, earning 394 points in the 8K event. Matt Hill led the team, finishing 53rd with a time of 24 minutes and 22 seconds, followed by McCallum Rowe in 68th place with a time of 24 minutes and 31 seconds. Andres Hernandez came in 89th place with a time of 24 minutes and 41 seconds, and James Petak finished 1 second later in 92nd place. Bran Van Druten completed the scoring with a time of 24 minutes 48 seconds, placing 105th.
The LaSalle women's golf team wrapped up the Red Flash Invitational hosted by St. Francis University, securing a 9th place finish in a highly competitive field. Freshman Samantha Song led the way on day one, shooting a solid 83 plus 11 over 18 holes. Showing strong promise for her first college season, on day two, the team rallied with the standout performances from junior Nina Orkanova, who carded a 85 plus 13, and senior Paige Sermonero, who matched Song's day one score with an 83 plus 11. Orkanova and Sermonero tied for 35th overall, both finishing with a two-day total of 171 plus 27. While Song placed 41st with a 178 plus 34, Sydney Levery rounded the group with a 196 plus 52 for 51st place.
Well, I hope you guys are still with us, because that was a lot of recap and a lot of stats,
that was a lot.
numbers, names, all sorts.
Well, first things first, congratulations on your game.
You.
I'm glad you got to play. But so start with field hockey.
Yeah.
They are back at it. They got a win. They must be feeling great. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I think definitely after what happened, they've bounced back, hopefully. They're back training. Mm-hmm. Against Richmond, they did lose 4-0, but
it's okay. It was just
they're a good team. They've got maybe a little bit of rivalry, because I think their ex-coach is actually their coach now. So it was a tough game to come after.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's definitely tough.
But they showed up, and then the next day they, had some fuel and won the game.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I had the chance to sit down with water polo head coach James Wolfe and student athlete Claire Durham. Stay tuned.
Dear University of...
Thank you for your offer
to become student ID number 283471.
While I appreciate your desire
For my impeccable academic record,
I must decline the opportunity.
to get a generic degree,
I've decided to tell my story.
To be a student,
not a statistic.
I wish you good luck in the future.
As I embark on mine.
Welcome back. Finally got to sit down with Coach James Wolfe and student athlete Claire Durham to talk all things water polo. Take a look.
Welcome back to On the Sideline. I'm Riley Kavchuk, and joining me today is Claire Durham and head coach James Wolfe from the LaSalle women's water polo team. How are you guys today?
Good.
Thanks for being here. So Claire, I'm going to start right off with you. Water polo is one of the many sports not talked about enough. What's something you wish other people who aren't so familiar knew about water polo?
I would say I wish people knew how similar it is to a lot of other sports. Like, a lot of people are basketball fans. I see so many ways how it's similar to that. And also, I wish people knew how brutal it was. And it's not with horses. A lot of people think it's with horses. Yeah.
What has been the most rewarding part of playing either here at LaSalle or any time in your life?
I would say what's been the best has probably been the people I've met along the way. I've met some of my best friends and a lot of great coaches and great people.
Now you just talked about your teammates. How would you describe your team chemistry?
I would say that we have a great group of girls and we have a lot of team chemistry outside of the pool and inside the pool. They're all like my best friends on campus here. So.
Do you think in order to have like a successful team, you should have that good team chemistry and like just someone to look for, like up to in that team?
Yeah, I think who you surround yourself with is extremely important, and I'm extremely lucky to have a great group of girls to work with.
Definitely. What's something you do to mentally prepare yourself for a game, especially when you know there might be some tough opponents?
I have a big old pair of headphones that I put on, and I usually get in my zone by not talking to anyone and just listening to some good tunes.
That's good. Last season alone, what was the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
I would say the biggest struggle I had last year was, I'd say, time management. Being a student athlete can be very difficult, but it's important to use your time wisely, especially time on the road. You have a lot of hours on the bus, and just using your time
And
the
how
best
do you
you can.
how do you manage your academics and athletics, especially being D1 and everything that goes into that?
I am really lucky that this team puts such a emphasis on academics, and I know that academics comes first on this team. So we have a great environment where we can work on things in school and still have the time to play water polo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are there any aspects of the game that you're focusing on improving?
Yes, I would say my physicality, but maybe even toning it down a little bit, not so many exclusions. Yeah.
Would you consider water polo a very
Yes.
tough on
Very.
sport?
Lots of black eyes and bruises. We have a saying that what happens underwater stays underwater.
Stays underwater,
Yes.
especially even alone, the water's holding you
Yes,
down.
yes.
It's complicated.
It really
there's
is.
a lot that goes into it that people really don't take into consideration. Have you taken any leadership roles on the team, or has there been any upperclassmen who has inspired you to do that eventually?
So I would say Hannah Warren, she was our center defender last year, and she left some very big shoes to fill. And I think about her so much and how I'm just striving to be a little bit more like her every day. So, yeah.
Lastly, what are some of your personal goals that you're setting for yourself in water polo and then personally?
In water polo, I'd say I'm trying to be more consistent and just not having so many highs and lows and just drawing more of a consistent line. And then on a personal level, I would say less exclusions, I guess. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. Now, Coach, we are now entering your third season of coaching at LaSalle. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then you've also coached about 12 years prior, and you have over 15 years of NCAA officiating. Now, within that time, how have you seen your players grow both in and out of the pool throughout every season?
Yeah, it's a good question. Number one, I think their commitment to the training. Water polo is a very physically demanding sport. It requires a lot of conditioning and a lot of mental focus. One thing about water polo is the referee is on the pool deck while the game is being played in the water. So the discipline to both be strong physically and mentally is extremely important. And I think as a program over the last 3 years, we've really grown in that way. I think as we approach the season this year, our physical dominance is going to hopefully put us into the championships.
Mm-hmm. In a fast-paced sport like water polo, how important is adaptability, and how do you teach it?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. Being able to adapt to how the game is being officiated is crucial. That's something that as a program we've definitely struggled with a little bit, especially last year in the championships. So having the understanding of that the referee's not going to see every foul and be able to push through that is key, and that's that mental strength. How we prepare for that is we do a lot of rules reviews. We do rules tests. We watch a lot of film. I'm lucky that myself and my assistant coach are both referees as well. So we understand, but we can never prepare 100% for what the official is going to be calling. But we definitely do quite a bit of preparations to be prepared for what the referee is going to call. Because like Claire mentioned, exclusions, which is basically a 20-second power play for the other team, is a huge part of the game. So you can imagine if you're playing woman up or woman down, whoever is winning in that battle is probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we're definitely continuing to work on.
Yeah, and that's good to have like that knowledge of the officiating rules as a coach. So how do you prepare the team for facing opponents with different styles of play?
Yeah, well, that's important. There's a lot of different styles of play. There's a lot of different defenses. You have your traditional press defense, which is kind of like one-on-one in your face. You also have a lot of zone defenses. So we do a lot of film study, like I mentioned. We also do a lot of training with that in practice, where we have, our second scout team kind of act as the opponent that we're going to play. But I think the key to it is like the film study and trying to watch the other opponent and try to be prepared for the personnel that they have, as well as the style of play that they're going to bring.
For this upcoming season, what are your primary goals for the team, both in terms of performance and development?
Sure. Performance-wise, we want to make the semifinals of the conference championship. Our program is relatively young, starting in 2017, and we've never made it to that game before. For the last 4 years in a row, we've qualified for the championship, but been knocked out in that quarterfinal. So our student athletes are really hungry to get to that semifinal game and maybe even qualify for the final. The winner of the final obviously qualifies for NCAA championships. We're definitely want to continue our academic dominance. That's probably first and foremost. In the last 2 years, we've been in the top 3 team GPA nationally, and we want to continue that. And then as individuals, we always want to develop them professionally in whatever career they choose. So we try to give them opportunities in internships and other professional development that the university offers.
That's very good. I don't hear a lot about that many other sports doing exactly that, so that's very good that your program has that. How do you balance building individual skills with fostering team chemistry?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of different parts of the year. Like you mentioned, obviously we're a Division I school. So right now we're currently in our 8-hour segment, which is really focused more on the chemistry, the conditioning, and the skill development. In about a couple weeks here, we're going to start our full-time training. And when that happens, we're more focused on our tactics, which is our playbook, more focused on the rotation of who's going to be contributing the most this season. So there's definitely a lot of different parts of the year. When we return back after, for the second semester, we kind of get back into the conditioning after the break. So there's a lot of different parts of the year, but at the end of the season, we want to peak. That's the key for our conference championship, that we play our best at the end of the season.
Yeah. And as a coach, how do you create a positive team culture, especially in a sport that requires such strong teamwork and communication together?
Yeah, I think the key to it is pumping the brakes. As a coach, it's really easy to kind of be like, you want to train as hard as you can all the time, but also understanding that our season is extremely long. We go all the way until the end of April. And so understanding kind of like the pulse of the team, having a good leadership council and captain is super important. And also understanding that our athletes need breaks too. And we try to give as many off days as we can, so that, again, we're peaking at the end of the season.
And lastly, how do you plan to keep improving and building the program in the coming years?
The key to that is recruiting. Water polo is a sport that's played all throughout the world. Our current roster is actually a 3rd international. And so the recruiting process of recruiting both domestically and internationally is the key to continuing to build our program in a positive way, putting academics first. So you need to have those qualifications, but also understanding that we want to grow the program and build it into a top 25 program.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Coach and Claire. I wish you guys the best of luck with your season. I can't wait to keep in touch. Now back to me and Gwen. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have all of this week's upcoming games. Stay tuned.
Dear University of...
Thank you for your offer.
To become student ID number 283471.
While I appreciate your desire
For my impeccable academic record,
I must decline the opportunity.
to get a generic degree,
I've decided to tell my story.
To be a student.
not a statistic.
I wish you good luck in the future.
As I embark on mine.
Welcome back. We have a busy week of Explore Sports, so here's what you have to look forward to. Friday, men's and women's swimming will host Townsend University at 12 p.m. Then the next day, Saturday, October 12th, they will host Johns Hopkins University. Friday, field hockey will play the University of Massachusetts at 5 p.m. They will then travel to Drexel University to play the Dragons at 2:30 p.m. On Sunday, lastly, they will travel to Ithaca, New York to take on Cornell at 2 p.m.
Saturday, women's soccer will play home at McCarthy Stadium against Duquesne at noon. They will then travel to Dayton, Ohio to play Dayton University on Thursday at 7 p.m. Men's soccer plays St. Bonaventure at 4 p.m. home, then will host Newman University at the McCarthy Stadium at 7 p.m. Men and women's rowing team will compete at the Navy Day Regatta hosted by St. Joseph University at the St. Joe's Boathouse.
That just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorers play, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLine LTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
For our entire SportsLine team, I'm Riley Kapchuk.
And I'm Gwen Good. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.